Hi there, I'm Elizabeth with Ellie's Handcrafted Jewelry, and welcome to my channel where I share tips, tricks, and tutorials for those looking to learn the art of wire wrapping and wire weaving. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make this simple wire wrapped bracelet. Now, I had many of you asking for some more wire wrapped jewelry in general rather than more wire woven, so this is for you guys. And it also features a larger cabochon, so you don't have to worry about fiddling with really small stones. And a huge thank you to Kazdan's Cabochon and Beads for sponsoring this video. More about them after the tutorial. Tools and materials, you're going to need flat nose or chain nose pliers. You're also going to need some round nose pliers. You're also going to want to have some flush cutters on hand so you can cut some of those wires. Of course, you'll also need a ring mandrel. If you need to get any of these tools, I have links below in the description. And of course, you're going to need a ruler and a Sharpie. For wire, you're going to need 20 gauge square wire. This is dead soft copper wire from Rio Grande. And of course, you'll need some half round wire as well. This is 21 gauge, but 20 gauge will also work as well. And of course, you're going to need a 10mm round cabochon, and this one I got from Kazdan's. It is a Larimar. I'll leave some links in the description below where you can find your own stones as well. So once you've cut your wire according to the specifications in the description box below, we're just going to go ahead and lay them here next to the ruler, and I'm going to mark out where I'm going to be wrapping my wire to create the ring band. So in this case, I need 2 inches to create about a size 7. So I'm marking here and marking there, and that leaves 2 inches on either side. So for a total of 4 inches on either side. And now I'm going to grab my half round wire, leaving probably about 6 to 8 inches of a tail piece, just gently wrapping it there. And I'm going to be wrapping the wire up against the square wire. And as you can see, the half round is got the flat side against the square wire, which is what you want. Make sure that the round wire is not wrapping around the wire, otherwise it's not going to hold very securely. And I'm just going to go ahead and continue wrapping the wire just like so. Just very carefully. There's a couple methods. You can do it this way where you're kind of directing the wire itself. So if you've cut off a long piece, if you're working from the spool, you might just twist the entire bulk of wires, which I'll show you here in just a second. And at this point, you can see I'm just twisting the wires to wrap the wire with the half round. It just makes it a little bit easier, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue wrapping it this way until I reach the furthest Sharpie mark. Now once I've wrapped all the way to create my ring band, I'm going to grab my ring mandrel here, and I'm going to wrap the wires around the ring band and then leaving a little bit of bare wire so I can create a platform for the stone. So as you can see here, I'm wrapping it around the ring mandrel, and I'm grabbing my stone to place it there, and that's going to give me an idea of how much I need to wrap to create a platform for the stone. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off of the ring mandrel, and then I'm going to grab those tail pieces, grab one tail piece actually, and begin wrapping it around. But before I do that, I might actually fix the platform a little bit, make sure that it is flat, so as I'm wrapping, it's not going to be a little all wonky. Now I'm just going to begin wrapping the wire around all of these base wires. And you can see here that the tail wire is not quite long enough, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off at some point and just tuck it in underneath the stone. And I'm just going to complete the platform using the rest of the tail wire from the other side and just wrapping it around the ring band. And I'm going to cut it off at the same point as the previous one and tuck it under where it will sit underneath the stone. Now it's time to create the setting for the stone itself. I'm taking the wires that are furthest inward and wrapping it, or I should say bending them up over top of themselves to create almost like a little bubble that's going to capture the stone, and just adjusting it to where I can fit the stone in there nicely. Like so, and then I will place the stone in there to make sure that it fits nice and I don't need to adjust anymore. If I do need to adjust, then just do it with the stone in there a little bit using your fingers or gently with your pliers. From there, we can begin wrapping the wire around the ring band to further set the stone and make sure that it's secure. And then once you reach over the top, you can trim it with your flush cutters and tuck it in with your chain nose or flat nose pliers. Now on to the wire that's next to the wires that we just did. I'm going to create a coil with this one, and I'm using half round wire. And you can see here I'm wrapping a little further up the wire, and I'm doing this because it's a little easier to reach than trying to do it right at the start. And I'm wrapping it light enough that I can scoot this wire down towards the stone and then continue wrapping. This will make my job a lot easier. Now after I've wrapped probably about 1.25 inches or so, I'm going to begin wrapping this around the stone, following along the previous wire that we just set the stone with. But then I'm going to kind of bend it over top of the, kind of leaving a little bit of a curve over top of the ring band. And it's not going to be quite long enough here, but I'm going to continue wrapping the half round wire around it a little bit so that I have a little extra coil. And then I'll trim it off and tuck it where it's going to be underneath so it doesn't snag on anything. Now once I've done that, I'm going to bring the wire around the ring band and kind of set the wire a little bit, and then we'll move on to the other side and do it as well. Now on to the next wire. So this wire I'm going to follow along the coiled wire, but it's going to be a little bit different. So we're going to follow along the side here, but as we're coming down alongside the curved portion of the wire, I'm actually going to bring it over top of the coiled wire and then around the bottom portion of it. Very much like this. And then I'm going to wrap it around the ring band, trim it off, and tuck it in just like before. And of course, we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. From there, with the final wire, I'm going to twist this. Now this is totally optional. You don't have to twist the wire. If you twist it, it will work harden it, so it'll make it a little harder to work with. But I do like the added texture, so I am going to twist my wires. Once I've twisted the wires, I'm going to curve them over top of the stone just like so. And I'm actually going to direct it underneath the coiled and the other square wire on top of the ring band. So what I'm going to do is curve this over first, making sure that they're symmetrical on either side to the best ability that I can. And then I'm going to feed that twisted wire underneath the coiled wire there. And then, so I'm going to have to lift that up a little bit with my pliers in order to do that. Just be very gentle so you don't mar the wire. Once I've done that, I'm going to wrap it around the bottom portion of the wire, and then I will begin wrapping it around the ring band and trimming off the wire and tucking it in next to the wire best I can. And of course, repeating this on the opposite side, doing my best to mirror both sides the best that I can. And here's the finished piece. And I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below as I try to get to them as quickly as I can. And if you'd like to learn more about wire weaving or even wire wrapping in general, I highly recommend checking out my free ebook where I share with you all that you need to get started to create your own wire woven works of art. And if you're in the market for stones and beads, then I highly recommend checking out Kazdan's, who sponsors this channel. They have some pretty amazing quality stones and beads that make your jewelry really stand out. Plus they have an online auction where you can snag some truly gorgeous stones at some pretty amazing prices. And if you want to learn more about them, you can find the link to their website and Facebook group down below. And until next time, happy weaving.